Welcome everyone. In the previous lecture, lecture number 6, we discussed about 3 micronutrients, 3 trace elements. What are they? Iron we discussed, boron we discussed, and manganese we discussed. And we know there are 8 micronutrients, right? And we made the code also. So how many micronutrients are there, children? 8 micronutrients are there. And what is that code we have made? We made a code called C square IB M square Z and N. This is the code we made. In that we were going in this order. We finished iron, we finished boron, and we finished manganese. Let us discuss the fourth element, which is also M, that is molybdenum. So in today's class we'll try to complete molybdenum. After molybdenum we will discuss Z for zinc, N for nickel, and C for copper, last C for calcium. These 5 elements we are going to discuss in today's session. So let's start our class with the fourth micronutrient. What is that called? It is molybdenum. The fourth micronutrient is called molybdenum. Plant absorbs molybdenum from the soil in ionic form, in molybdate ion form. Plant absorbs molybdenum from the soil in which form? In molybdate ion form. Molybdate ion means MoO2 2+. In this form plant absorbs it. What is that called? Molybdate ion form. In this form plant absorbs molybdenum. Now talking about the physiological roles, what are the functions of the molybdenum in the plant metabolism means, in this chapter only we have nitrogen cycle, nitrogen fixation. Plant cell, it needs nitrogen to the more concentration, because plant needs nitrogen everywhere in its metabolism. So then there's an important enzyme called nitrogenase, which helps in nitrogen fixation, which converts atmospheric nitrogen N2 to ammonia. What is that reaction I'm talking about? There is a reaction where N2, atmospheric nitrogen, gets reduced to ammonia. Atmospheric nitrogen gets reduced to ammonia in the presence of an enzyme called nitrogenase. This reaction is mediated by an enzyme called nitrogenase. We can also call it as dinitrogenase, since 2 ammonia molecules are formed. N2 to 2 ammonia molecules are formed. The enzyme is also called dinitrogenase. And I told you when I'm talking about iron, that iron and molybdenum are components of nitrogenase enzyme. So our first function is molybdenum is a component of this enzyme nitrogenase. Let us write down what is the first function of molybdenum. The first function we are telling, like, molybdenum is component. It is component of nitrogenase enzyme. It is component of nitrogenase enzyme. And what will this nitrogenase enzyme do? It reduces nitrogen to ammonia, and this form plant can absorb it. And in the same nitrogen cycle, there's one more important reaction where nitrite gets converted to nitrate. Okay, so there's one more reaction where HNO3 gets converted to HNO2, or NO3 gets converted to NO2. So what is this reaction? Here what is happening is nitrate gets converted to nitrite, right? Nitrate gets reduced to nitrite in the presence of an enzyme called nitrate reductase. Who is doing this reaction? Nitrate reductase. Amma, who is doing this reaction? Conversion of nitrate to nitrite. Nitrate reductase is doing this reaction, and in this nitrate reductase also molybdenum is a component. So our second function is molybdenum is component of nitrate reductase. Children, this is the second function of molybdenum. First function, it is component of nitrogenase. Second function, it is component of nitrate reductase. So I think we are getting a point that molybdenum plays very important role in nitrogen metabolism. Now these two enzymes, nitrogenase and nitrate reductase, are produced by nitrogen fixing bacteria like rhizobium. So the plant should give space for the rhizobium bacteria to stay, so that the bacteria is synthesizing nitrogen and giving it to the plant. So in the plant, on the roots, root nodules will be formed. Nodule is a place where the bacteria will come and stay. Like YouTube is a studio where I come and take my classes. In the same manner, here nodules are the places where the bacteria will come and stay and they will produce this enzyme. Means molybdenum helps in the development of root nodules. What is the third and last function of molybdenum? We are telling molybdenum helps in development of root nodules. Molybdenum helps in development of root nodules. Development of root nodules. So in leguminaceae plants, on the root galls, nodules will be there. That is the place where bacteria will come and stay, and that bacteria will produce these enzymes, and these enzymes will convert nitrogen gas into ammonia, nitrite, nitrate, which is useful by the plant. Children, all this is about molybdenum. Our fourth element comes under micronutrient. It has three roles. It's a component of nitrogenase, it is a component of nitrate reductase, and it helps in the development of root nodules. Take a screenshot, then we will talk about copper next. Right, Amma? So shall we move on to the fifth element? We need to talk about 8 micronutrients. In lecture number 6, we discussed about 3 micronutrients. So the remaining we are going to complete in this class. So next we'll start with C square. That means our fifth element is copper. Our fifth element is copper, and plant absorbs copper in cupric ion form, Cu2+. Plant absorbs copper as cupric ion, means Cu2+. In this form, plants absorb copper. Now, what are the functions of copper then? Copper helps in the overall metabolism of the plant. For example, your parents are responsible for your all over development, right? From your childhood to adulthood to your settlement, everything. So your parents are responsible. In the same manner, who is responsible for the overall metabolism of the plant? Let it be carbohydrate metabolism, protein metabolism, fat metabolism, nitrogen metabolism. Who is responsible for the overall metabolism of plant? Means copper. So first function, we will write down that copper is important for, it is important for overall metabolism. Overall metabolism of the plant. This is a first function. Now iron, we discussed that iron get reversibly oxidized Fe2+, ferrous to ferric, ferric to ferrous in electron transport chain. In the same manner, copper also can be reversely, it can participate in redox reactions. Cu+ gets converted to Cu2+, like that. So the second function is, like iron, copper is also involved in redox reactions, oxidation reduction reactions. Let me write down, like iron, copper is also involved in reduction, oxidation reactions. Where do we see it? Electron transport system, in photosynthesis and respiration. I am going to teach it in detail, don't worry. So like iron, copper is also involved in redox reactions. How will iron gets converted? Fe2+ gets converted to Fe3+. Fe3+ reversely gets converted to Fe2+ again. In the same manner, if you link, so Cu2+ gets converted to Cu+, and Cu+ gets converted to Cu2+. So this is oxidized and reduced state, oxidized and reduced state. So like iron, copper also participates in such oxidation reduction reactions. Where can we see this oxidation reduction reactions? In electron transport chain. Now let's talk about the third function of molybdenum. Molybdenum is a constituent of an electron carrier. Its name is plastocyanin. Molybdenum is a constant of an electron carrier. What is the name of the electron carrier? Plastocyanin. Where do you find this electron carrier? In electron transport system. Electron transport system, where it is there? In photosynthesis also it is there. In respiration also it is there. Plastocyanin is the name of the electron carrier in ETS of photosynthesis. Let me write down. So, copper is constituent. It is constituent of PC. We will write. Amma, what is PC? Plastocyanin. Plastocyanin. Copper is constant of plastocyanin. What is plastocyanin? It's an electron carrier. It is an electron carrier. Where do we see it? In electron transport system we see it. And what it is involved in, what it will do, it helps in phosphorylation, ATP synthesis. Synthesis of ATP by using photon energy, sunlight energy is called photophosphorylation. Copper being a component of plastocyanin, which is an electron carrier, which helps in electron transport system, helps in photophosphorylation, helps in ATP synthesis, right? So, helps in currency, right? ATP synthesis. What is ATP? Currency of the cell. Synthesizing ATP in photosynthesis is called photophosphorylation. Amma, adding phosphate is phosphorylation. Using sunlight, adding phosphate, photophosphorylation. ATP synthesis in photosynthesis. What is it called? Photophosphorylation. Got it, children? So we discussed the third function of copper also. Then everywhere we are telling that this element is activator of so and so enzyme, this element is activator of so and so enzyme. In that manner, copper also should be an activator. It is an activator for an enzyme called cytochrome C oxidase. So the last function of copper is copper acts as an activator. Copper is activator for an enzyme. Amma, what is the name of the enzyme? Cytochrome C oxidase. Copper is an activator for an enzyme. What is that? Cytochrome C oxidase. Cytochrome C oxidase. Where again do you see the cytochrome C oxidase? Everything going and ending at ETS. So we'll finish off and we'll start photosynthesis. Then you'll understand what is ETS. So copper is an activator for an enzyme which is again coming in ETS only. Cytochrome C oxidase. Where do we find cytochrome C oxidase? Again in electron transport system. Again in electron transport system. Understood, children? These are the roles of the copper. Come on, how many roles? 4 roles we listed. What is the first role of the copper? Copper, it participates in overall metabolism, overall development of the plant. Copper is involved. Like iron, copper participates in redox reaction, Cu2 plus Cu plus Fe2 plus Fe plus, like that. Third one, it is a component of plastocyanin. So what is plastocyanin? It is an electron carrier. Where do we find it? In ETS. That is the third function. So in ETS, what is happening? ATP synthesis. Synthesis of ATP means phosphorylation. In photosynthesis, it's called photophosphorylation. The last role of copper is an activator for an enzyme called cytochrome C oxidase. Where does it come? ETS. Take a screenshot. We finished. What did we finish? We finished molybdenum. We finished copper. Then we need to talk about the next C, which is chlorine. Take a screenshot. We will continue. Right, children? So now 5 got over. 6, 7, 8. 3 more elements are there. Right? Now the 6th element is Chlorine. Plant absorbs chlorine as chloride ion, anion. Plant absorbs chlorine as an anionic form. What is the name of the anionic form? Chloride ion. It absorbs in the form of chloride ion. Plant can absorb chloride directly, freely as Cl also, or it can take it in the form of salt, NaCl, KCl also. We can tell plant absorbs chlorine in free state also. What do you mean by free state? Cl minus. Or plant absorbs chlorine as NaCl or KCl state. In this form also plant can absorb chlorine. Now, what is the important function of chlorine? When we are talking about macronutrients like potassium, there we told like K plus helps in cation anion balance. So here the same function we can tell chlorine helps in cation anion balance. So the first function of chlorine is helps to maintain cation anion balance. Chlorine helps to maintain cation anion balance. Now they will ask us in examinations, NEET examinations, what are the two elements which help in cation anion balance? So come on, tell me, what are the two elements? One is K plus, the other one is Cl minus. These two elements help in maintaining cation anion balance. That's the first thing. And K plus Cl minus along with sodium. K plus Cl minus along with sodium maintain the solute concentration. They determine the solute concentration in a cell. How much solute should be there within the cell? Who will decide? Either K plus will decide, or Na plus will decide, or Cl minus will decide. So our second function is chlorine along with Na plus and K plus will determine the solute concentration of the cell. Solute concentration of the cell. Come on, what's the first function? It helps in maintaining cation anion balance. What is the second function? We are telling Na plus, K plus, Cl minus. What do? They help to determine the solute concentration. The important function of chlorine is splitting of water during photosynthesis. The important function of chlorine is, now come on, recollect what is the equation of photosynthesis? Carbon dioxide plus water gives rise to hydrogen, comes here, then it becomes a CHO, C6H12O6, and this oxygen will be released out. This oxygen comes out as O2, right? 6CO2 plus 12H2O gives rise to C6H12O6 plus 6 oxygen molecules plus 6 water molecules. This is the reaction of photosynthesis. What is this? Photosynthesis reaction. Now, what are you doing here? Come on, check. What are you doing here? You are breaking water, huh? Yes, we are breaking water. We are converting into H and O. Hydrogens will come here and they tag between C and O. It becomes CHO. And the oxygen will be released out. What is this reaction called? Photolysis of water. Breakdown of water in photosynthesis is called photolysis of water. What is this reaction called? Photolysis of water. What is photolysis of water? It is nothing but breakdown of water. When we break the water, we get H, we get O. H goes here, makes carbohydrate. O is released out. Oxygen is evolved. What is this? What is this? Evolution of oxygen. So, we are breathing oxygen. Without oxygen, we cannot survive. And who is releasing that oxygen which we are breathing? Plant. By which mechanism? Photosynthesis mechanism. Understood, children? So, the important function of chlorine is photolysis of water. And we also studied manganese, right? Which helps in splitting of water? Manganese. So which two elements help in cation anion balance? K plus and Cl minus. Which two elements helps in photolysis of water? One is manganese, amma. Other one is chlorine. See, two elements are doing one function. Photolysis of water is mediated by manganese and chlorine. They will ask you this question. Which two elements helps in cation anion balance? K plus and Cl minus. So this is a other function. The last function of chlorine is it helps in the root development. It helps in the healthy growth of the root. So fourth function, helps in healthy root growth. So the last function is it is helping in root growth, right children? So these are the four functions of chlorine. Plant absorbs chlorine as anion, minus ion, chloride ion. It's called Cl minus. Plant can absorb chlorine as single chlorine molecule also. It can absorb as salt, NaCl, KCl also. Coming to the physiological functions of chlorine, chlorine maintains cation anion balance. And one more point also we studied, that potassium also maintains anion cation balance. That's first function. Second one, chlorine along with this cation and this cation determine the solute concentration in the cell. Third function, chlorine helps in photolysis of water during photosynthesis and helps in liberation of oxygen, evolution of oxygen, which is very much required for our survival. Next function, it helps in root development. Take a screenshot, then we will continue with zinc and nickel. Right. Now, seventh element in the order, if you go, it is zinc. So we are left with Z and N. So what is the seventh element, children? Zinc. Plant absorbs zinc as Zn2 plus ion. Plant absorbs zinc as Zn2 plus ion. And talking about the functions of zinc, what are the roles of the zinc? Now, the first role of zinc is, zinc helps in the synthesis of an aromatic amino acid called tryptophan. There are three aromatic amino acids. We studied this in biomolecules chapter. Phenylalanine, tyrosine and tryptophan, right? So there are three aromatic amino acids. What is the third aromatic amino acid? Tryptophan. Who is involved in synthesis of tryptophan? Zinc is involved in synthesis of tryptophan. So we can tell that zinc is involved. It is involved in the synthesis of an amino acid called tryptophan. It is involved in the synthesis of amino acid called tryptophan, and this tryptophan is the precursor for auxin. Tryptophan, which is the mother, or we tell precursor, which is the precursor for auxin. So zinc is involved to make tryptophan, and tryptophan is involved to make auxin. What is auxin? Auxin is a plant hormone. What it will do? It helps in root growth. So if zinc is not there, tryptophan is not made. If tryptophan is not made, auxin is not made. If auxin is not made, root growth is poorly developed. So in this manner, zinc is involved in auxin synthesis. So we can tell, since it is making tryptophan, so zinc is involved. Zinc is involved in synthesis of a plant growth hormone. Plant growth hormone. What is its name? Auxin. Chemically, we call it as IAA. Indole 3-acetic acid. What is the chemical name of auxin? The chemical name of auxin is indole 3-acetic acid. Auxin, it is responsible for root growth. Auxin is synthesized by tryptophan. Tryptophan requires zinc for its synthesis. This is the first role of zinc. Next one, zinc also acts as an activator for so many enzymes. So let's write that also. Zinc acts as an activator. It acts as an activator for how many enzymes? Carboxylases. In NCERT, in this paragraph, they wrote carboxylases. In the previous page, under 4 broad categories, they told zinc is activator for carbonic anhydrase also. Zinc is activator for alcohol dehydrogenase also. So we are smart. We are collecting all the points and we are telling zinc is an activator for enzymes like carboxylases. It is activator for alcohol dehydrogenase and it is activator for carbonic anhydrase. I can tell the functions what they do also, but unnecessarily why to burden yourself? It's easy to remember the names itself. Zinc acts as an activator for enzymes like carboxylases, alcohol dehydrogenase and carbonic anhydrase. These are the 3 roles of zinc. What are they? Zinc helps in synthesis of tryptophan. Tryptophan helps in synthesis of oxygen. So 1 and 2 roles got over. The third role is zinc is an activator for 3 important enzymes called carboxylases, alcohol dehydrogenase and carbonic anhydrase. Take a screenshot. We will continue with the last element, nickel. Right, children? So our last element under microelements or trace elements is zinc. And listen, about zinc, it was not mentioned in NCERT. About zinc, it's not mentioned in NCERT, but then they told there are 17 essential elements. If you count how many they gave us is 16 only. The one which is missing, which was recently added in this essential elements category is nickel. So our last 8th element is nickel. Plant absorbs nickel as Ni 2+ cationic form, and recently only nickel has been added to the status of essential elements. Recently only nickel is added to the status of essential elements. Now, what is the major role of nickel? Means nickel acts as an activator for an enzyme called urease. Let us write on. Nickel acts as an activator for an enzyme called urease. So, urease, what it will do? Urease splits urea into simple nitrogenous forms which can be taken by plant. Urea is a complex compound. Plant cannot absorb urea directly. Plant cannot use urea directly. So the urease enzyme helps in breaking the urea into simple nitrogen forms, and that forms can be taken by the plant. So the role of nickel is to act as an activator for urease enzyme, and nickel is important for iron absorption. What is the second function? This though first function. The second function is nickel acts as an helps in absorption of iron. If you recollect, boron helps in absorption of calcium, no? Like that, nickel helps in absorption of iron. So, if you don't give nickel, even if you are giving iron also, plant is not in a position to absorb it. So, nickel helps in absorption of iron. That is the second function. The last function is deficiency of nickel leads to the development of dead seeds, non-viable seeds. So, means the seeds will become dead. They can't germinate. So, nickel deficiency leads to production of non-viable seeds. So what do you mean by viability? Viability means livingness. Okay. So if nickel is deficient, then the seeds are dead. They can't germinate. So these are the three roles of nickel. What are the three roles? First one we told, it is an activator for enzyme urease, which will split urea into simple forms. Second one, nickel helps in iron absorption. Third one, nickel deficiency will cause seeds to become dead. They cannot germinate. Done, children. With this, we completed role of all the 8 micronutrients. In our next lecture, we'll talk about the deficiency of essential elements. Hope the lectures are going well. You are able to understand. Any query, post it in the comment box. If you like, then like, share and subscribe to my channel. Thank you.